Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to Jets Media. This is Richie. In this video, I want to talk about the top 5 biggest positional needs for the New York Jets heading into the offseason. As we all know, the New York Jets have so much draft capital and so much cap space heading into this offseason. Joe Douglas has so much ammunition to work with, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I wanted to break down the top 5 positions that I feel like is the biggest needs for the New York Jets, and then break down what the New York Jets should do with those positions, whether that's free agency or via the draft. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the 5 positions. Before I hop into it, I just want to mention, if you guys are new to Jets Media, help me out. Get me to 10,000 subscribers. I'm this close. I'm going to be announcing a giveaway when that does happen. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you are new to Jets Media. And also make sure you check me out over on Jets Media on Instagram and Twitter. I'll greatly appreciate that. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Position, I feel like this position, for me personally, we need a completely different room. I'm totally okay with moving on from Tyler Kroft and Ryan Griffin. I just am over them. I really am. And Trevon Wesco, we all saw last year the tight ends, number one, were not healthy. They were not productive. We were bottom of the league in all the statistical categories across our tight end position. It's no secret that the New York Jets need to make sure they're aggressive at this position heading into the offseason in both free agency and the draft. So let's get into some targets in free agency. I think the biggest name that every Jets fan wants is Dalton Schultz from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, my biggest problem with this is he might get franchise tag from the Dallas Cowboys, so I'm not getting my hopes up for the New York Jets getting him. But if he does hit the open market, I feel like Joe Douglas should definitely call his agent and throw him the bag. We have the cap space. You're investing in a position that is a big-time need, and the tight end spot is so big for Zach Wilson because Zach Wilson loved his tight ends over at BYU, and Dalton Schultz is still really young, 25, 26 years old, entering the prime of his career, coming off a really good season for the Dallas Cowboys. So if he hits the open market, you got to make sure you throw him the bag if I'm the Jets. So say Dalton Schultz does get franchise tagged. Where are the Jets going to go in free agency? There's a lot of other players available. David Njoku is an interesting name. I know that he really didn't live up to his potential for the Cleveland Browns, but maybe he needs a change of scenery, and maybe we bring him in on a cheap deal, and then we attack the tight end position big time in the draft, which we'll get into. And another interesting guy I want to talk about in free agency is Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is a veteran who was traded in the middle of the season to the Arizona Cardinals and actually put up really good numbers for the Arizona Cardinals, help them, make it to the playoffs and all that great stuff. So if they do want to bring in a veteran with the rookies that we're going to hopefully draft, Zach Ertz is definitely someone to keep an eye on in free agency as well. So let's get into the draft. We all know that the New York Jets are at the Senior Bowl right now, and they're coaching these 2 tight ends that I'm going to be talking about that I'm really high on. I know you guys are as well. That's Trey McBride and Jeremy Ruckert. These 2 tight ends are my biggest crush when it comes to the draft. I need one of these 2, if not both. If we don't sign a tight end in free agency, like a big time name, I would not be upset if we drafted both McBride and Ruckert. And yes, that's not going to happen. I understand that. But maybe whether you draft both of them or not, you need to draft at least 2 tight ends, because Mike LaFleur tried in the beginning of the season to run 2 tight end sets, and it was a nightmare. It didn't work out. And then realized, I don't have the personnel in order to do that. So he, escaped that route, and he just went 1 tight end personnel for the most part at the end of the season. And we all know the offense started to play well when that was the case. But if you want to give LaFleur some creativity and some ammunition to work with, you go out there and draft a guy like Trey McBride. The reason why I'm really high on McBride in particular, because I feel like he's an all-around tight end. He just looks like the perfect fit for this offense. He's a big man. He can block well. He runs routes well. He has big hands. He can go up there, make the contested grabs. He just looks like an all-around, well-suited tight end for this position that the New York Jets desperately need. And also Jeremy Ruckert, he's a Long Island native. I think he went to Lindenhurst, which is like 20 minutes from me. I'm a Long Island kid as well, if you guys did not know that. So, hey, bring him in. Obviously, don't draft him just because he's from Long Island. He is a really good tight end prospect. You see what he's doing over at the Senior Bowl today. I saw some clips of him. He looks like he's doing some good things down there in Alabama. And if you just turn on his tape at Ohio State, he just looks like a receiving threat that has potential through the roof. I would love for the New York Jets to draft one of these 2 tight ends. And in this video, I'm not going to break down like every single target there is in the draft or free agency. I just compiled like a couple of names. So if I don't mention a name in free agency or the draft for a specific position, you guys can comment down below saying, hey, what about this guy? Because I don't want to talk about every single free agent or every single draft prospect, because this video will be an hour long. So bear with me, guys. Draftkings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, has a huge offer for this weekend's big game. All new customers can get 56-1 odds on either football team to win this weekend. Bet just $5, you can win up to $280 of free bets if your team is indeed victorious. That's right, bet just $5 on either team to win the big game this weekend, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give new customers an additional $280 in free bets if the team you choose wins. If Sportsbook is not available in your state just yet, you do not have to worry because you can still play for something this weekend. Everybody can play for their share of millions of dollars in total prizes in DraftKings Daily Football Contest. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook now. Use my code JETSMedia. Once again, that's promo code JETSmedia. New customers, you bet just $5 to win $280 of free bets on the big game if your team is indeed victorious this weekend. Once again, use my promo code JETSmedia. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Let's get into the safeties. Safety is definitely one of the biggest needs, in my opinion, on the defensive side of the ball. It's very similar to the tight end group. I feel like we need two new starters. I love what Jason Pinnock did as a rookie at the end of the year. He did transition and play the safety position for like 2 games, and he did show some flash. Maybe that could be an experiment. We're going into training camp. Jason Pinnock completely transitions to a full-time safety, and we never know what can happen. Also, Ashtyn Davis, he looked decent in coverage this year, but he just did not look good in the run support. He just got beat all the time. He did have a couple interceptions, but he still is a liability. But I'm not giving up on Ashtyn Davis. I think he has an opportunity to provide depth. I just do not feel comfortable with Ashtyn Davis being our starting safety heading into the season. So the way I want the New York Jets to tackle this position this offseason is signing a big-name free agent and drafting one fairly early in the draft, maybe second or third round, and then that's our starting safety tandem. A free agent like a Marcus Williams or a Jesse Bates or a Justin Reed, and then a safety in the draft like a Daxton Hill or a Jordan Battle. And obviously, there's other guys that you guys are going to be talking about. Kyle Hamilton, we all know he's the best safety in the draft. He could be he could be the best player in the draft. But as you guys know in my videos, I'm not too high on the Jets taking him at number 4. Maybe if he falls to 10, you consider it. But I feel like the Jets need to make sure they bolster the line of scrimmage, whether that's an edge rusher at 4 or the best offensive lineman at 4. So Kyle Hamilton, you got to include him in the video because he is the best safety, and we do have a chance to draft him. But I just don't think the New York Jets are going to go that route. So other guys I like is Daxton Hill from Michigan. He could be available early in the second round, as well as Jordan Battle if they do want to go into that safety room in the second round. You never know. So if I'm the New York Jets, I definitely look at free agency. Marcus Williams, I feel like he's a guy for the Saints. You definitely know that he's not getting re-signed there. They're in cap hell. He's still like really young, 25 years old. He's been on the Saints for a long time, and I would definitely sign him 100%. Jesse Bates for the Cincinnati Bengals is another guy I would consider. I don't know if the Bengals are going to allow him to go. Like, we know that Marcus Williams is most likely out the door, but Jesse Bates is a player that most likely will be re-signed. I mean, hell, they're in the Super Bowl right now. I feel like the Bengals are going to try to bring everyone back as, desperate as possible. And then Justin Reed, he's an interesting guy for the Houston Texans. Any of these 3 free agent safeties, sign me up. The New York Jets need to bring in playmakers in that secondary. I love the cornerback room right now. I think we're also going to add a player on that room, but the safety position is a big-time need. So I'll say it again. We need to sign a big-time free agent and draft one fairly early in the draft, and I'm okay with that being our starting safety tandem, a veteran and a rookie. Sign me up for that. Now, the next position I want to talk about is wide receiver. Wide receiver number 1. We need to make sure we add a big-time playmaker to this position group. I love Elijah Moore. I like Corey Davis. We need to make sure that we re-sign Braxton Berrios. We all know that's a priority, but we also need another big-time addition to this wide receiver room if we want to surround Zach Wilson with the big-time weapons. So let's get into the free agency market for the wide receivers. There's guys like Allen Robinson that's available, Chris Godwin, Mike Williams. We know about Devontae Adams. I do not see that happening at all. I feel like he's looking for money that the New York Jets should just stay away from. I know he's worth the money, but the Jets are just not in a good position right now to give him that type of bag. So when it comes to the free agent market, it's going to be really interesting to see what the New York Jets do here. Is Keelan Cole out the door? Is Jameson Crowder out the door? Is Braxton Berrios out the door? Because a lot of those, questions need to be answered heading into the free agency. And if I'm the New York Jets, I definitely look at one of these guys like a Mike Williams. I feel like if you can get him on a 2-year deal or even a 1-year deal, but he's probably going to ask for a long-term deal. I mean, he's a really young, upcoming receiver in this league. He's probably going to want a contract similarly to Corey Davis. So I don't know if the Jets are going to be doing that. And then Allen Robinson's interesting because I feel like his value is very low right now, and if the Jets can get him on a cheap 1-year deal, I'd be okay with Allen Robinson coming to the New York Jets, me personally. I feel like it's low risk, high reward. You're not, putting so much cap space into him. It's a one-year deal. I'd consider that. And then Chris Godwin, he's coming off a really bad injury, so I don't know if the Jets are going to be interested in bringing him in. But overall, when it comes to the Jets free agency market, I don't think that this is where the Jets are going to find their number one receiver. I think that's going to be either the trade market or the draft. So let's get into that. You guys know I talk about the trade market with the wide receivers on this channel a lot, so I'm not going to get into it deeply in this video. We all know who's available right now, Calvin Ridley, and then there's rumors about other guys that if you guys want to see that video, check it out. I've made a whole video about who the Jets should be pursuing on the trade market for the receivers. But let's get into the draft, because the draft has a lot of fun receivers in this 2022 NFL draft class. So if the New York Jets go into the draft saying that they wanted to take a playmaker early at number 10, say we get an edge rusher or an offensive lineman at 4, and we don't get a big name in free agency, or we don't get a big name in the trade market, and they want to get a big name in the draft, there's guys like Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Jahan Dotson. In the second round, I like David Bell. My draft crush is Treylon Burks. I feel like he would fit this system beautifully. He could be our own version of a Deebo Samuel. He's not really, a clone version of Deebo. Deebo is a one of a kind in terms of his running ability, his physicality. But what Treylon Burks brings to the table is his versatility. His big hands can go up there, get the ball on the perimeter, and yards after the catch. He can go in motion and take the handoffs. I feel like Treylon Burks would be a home run pick for the Jets at number 10. If they want to go the other route and Garrett Wilson at 10, I know that he's a great route runner. He can create separation with ease, and he'll be with Elijah Moore. But my problem is they kind of have the same skill set, and Treylon Burks is like the perfect fit for the receiver that we're lacking in this offense, like that true X receiver. Drake London, he's an interesting prospect. I know that a lot of Jets fans are falling in love with him. He's giant. He is a 6'5" nightmare in terms of if you're opposing secondary, you do not want to match up against him. He's going to box you out. He's going to bring it down. His route running is underrated in my opinion, so you never know. And Jahan Dotson, if they want to take him in the second round, he falls there. We all know that he has speed that kills, and same with David Bell. So those are two second round picks that I'm considering. If the Jets don't take a receiver at 10, maybe they go Dotson or Bell in the second round. We'll find out. And then the next position I want to talk about, that's the edge rusher position. We all know that we need an edge rusher alongside Carl Lawson desperately, and the only way we're going to do that, I personally feel like, is the draft, because the free agent market, I don't know if the Jets are going to want to throw a bag at another free agent edge rusher, because they already have that with Carl Lawson. I think they'd rather draft somebody like a Kayvon Thibodeau if they falls to them, or maybe a George Karlaftis. We'll see what they do in the draft, but the draft prospects is obviously Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau. Those are the two guys that's probably going to go before the Jets, but if one of them falls to 4, I think it's a no-brainer. The Jets got to pull the trigger and make that man a New York Jet. But other guys say they want to target an edge rusher at number 10. David Ajabo, George Karlaftis could be a potential target for the New York Jets at pick number 10 if they did not go edge at 4. And then when it comes to the free agency market, if they want to throw the bag at people, Chandler Jones is someone that has had a really good season for the Cardinals. I don't see the Jets going this route. But here's an interesting player that's a free agent that I can see the Jets signing that probably won't cost too much and has a lot of familiarity with the system in place, especially with Robert Saleh. That's Solomon Thomas. He was a San Francisco 49er edge rusher, D tackle. He's very versatile. He was with them when they went to the Super Bowl. He actually was with the Raiders this past year and actually did not have that bad of a game. But the problem with him, he was coming off a torn ACL 2 seasons ago. He had a bounce back season with the Raiders, and he's a free agent. So if they want to bring someone in that kind of has a familiarity with the system already for depth purposes, I can see Solomon Thomas becoming a New York Jet. And then when it comes to the last position group I want to talk about, that's offensive line. The Jets, this is going to be position of need until the offensive line is like a top 10 unit, top 5 unit in the league, in my opinion, especially with Joe Douglas at the realm as their GM. In free agency market, Laken Tomlinson is someone that I really like. He knows the system as well. He's with the 49ers. We all know that we have a big-time need at right guard. We do have a guy in LDT I would love to resign. We also have Morgan Moses, who I love to resign, but that's not guaranteed, so we'll see what happens there. Laken Tomlinson, I would definitely pursue him in free agency. And a big-time guy that's available that I don't know if I'm too interested in because of the amount of money and his injury concerns, that's Brandon Scherf for the Washington football team. He has not played a full season ever since his first 3 seasons in the NFL. He's going to be asking for a lot of money, so I'd stay away from him unless the medical records really checks out and he's not asking for too much money. I might consider it. And then maybe a guy like Trey Turner for depth purposes. Maybe LDT does walk in free agency. We bring in Trey Turner instead, not as a starter, but pure depth purposes. And then getting into the draft, we all know that we have a chance to draft one of the best offensive linemen in this year's draft class. Evan Neal is a prospect that we should look at number 4. Ikem Ekwonu, of course. Charles Cross is even a beast if they want to take him at 10, or maybe the Joe Douglas falls in love with him at 4. You never know. And then a second-round target that I love is Zion Johnson, the guard that we're actually coaching the Senior Bowl. He looks like a stud. He could be our starting right guard for the future. So that's my thoughts, guys, of the 5 position groups and some targets heading into this year's offseason. Leave a comment down below of any players that I missed out. I did not want to talk about every single free agent, every single draft prospect, because like I said, this video will be foreverly long. But guys, leave a comment down below your thoughts. Like the video if you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Let's go Jets. Peace.